Hey guys, welcome to another video about how to open your third eye. In the previous one, I have talked about the hardware part. Now today we're going to talk about the second and most important part in my opinion, which is the software. Now first of all, I'm going to explain to you what is the software, then I will tell you how it works, and I will give you a practice to actually help you reprogram it from an Arabic and Islamic perspective. So stick around until then. Now let's get straight into it, but before we do that, I want you to tell me what kind of practices you have put in place in that regard. Let me know your answer in the comment section. I'm excited to hear it. Now, as I told you before, this journey started for me years and years ago when I was looking to different topics and subjects and studies, and my breakthrough came when I understood that physical reality or objective reality is not as objective as we'd like to believe. Basically, scientists have discovered what is now referred to in the scientific community as the observer effect, meaning that depending who is observing a certain object or phenomena, the outcome of that observation can be different. And when we go a little bit further down that rabbit hole, we discovered that with the recent advancement in quantum physics and mechanics, science now tells us that reality exists basically just within our mind. Now, what does it mean that reality exists just within our mind? Is that basically our whole body, brain, and mind are set up in a way to be able to interact with physical reality. And a very simple example is about the rainbow. Sounds silly, right? But our photoreceptors within our eyes are actually necessary for us to see the rainbow, compared to dogs, for example, which can't see it because they don't have the same cone photoreceptors within their eyes. Amazing, right? So imagine that something that we take for granted, such as the rainbow, is something that other creatures that we love can't really have access to. Now, between us human beings, we all have those photoreceptors, but the difference is the software. Now, when I'm referring to the software, I'm referring to the mind, not the brain, because the brain is still part of the hardware. I mean, when you open your computer, there's a motherboard, there's a hard drive, there's a CPU, but the operating system, you can't really put a finger on it because it's installed there. And where is our operating software installed? It is within our subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind is the one which dictates basically all functions of the living body, and we're trying to have that body function in a way which we're able to see more and perceive more of the reality which is surrounding us. Now, you have to understand that just like a computer, your brain has different modes. You have a sleeping mode, a high performance mode, a power saving mode. Your brain is just like that. Now, how can we know that our brain is operating in a optimal performance mode or a power saving mode or even a sleep mode? Well, there is a way. It's called brainwaves. So we have delta, which is associated to deep sleep, theta, which is associated to light sleep, and alpha, which is kind of a light trance. You have beta, which I'm in right now talking to you. This is your normal waking mode, and at the highest is a gamma. Now, why am I talking to you about brain waves when we're trying to open a third eye? Well, basically is that when you're opening your third eye, you want to be in an alpha state. Alpha state or even theta state, but it's very difficult for people to achieve this with their eyes open. But you want to train your mind to be able to go into lower and more relaxed brainwave states in order for you to be able to achieve more. If you're thinking about your bills and your problems and this and that, well, that just won't happen for you. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Throughout my years of research, I have discovered a study which tells us that whenever you're repeating a word, any word, a single word, and you repeat it over and over again, the associated cells, that area within the brain, starts growing. So this is just any word. If you're repeating love, then you will experience more love through your brain. You will actually affect physical change in your brain to experience more love. But this is just with any word. Now, me coming from a Muslim background, this was just a revelation for me, because we are talking just about any word. Now, imagine if we're repeating a divine name. I mean, this just takes it up to a whole other level, discovering that we can use divine names to affect actual physical change within our brain. But it gets better. It's not just about repeating the same word, but remember I mentioned brainwaves? There are countless studies which have been done, and it has been found that brainwaves can be affected by dhikr, by either listening or invoking God in the Quran. Well, actually, don't take my word for it. I've linked one of those studies in the description, so you can go and check it out. I don't know about you, but I just love when science basically confirms age-old practices. That stuff just gets me going. And this is something that goes back to our God. God is the one who made us. He is the one who programmed the collective unconscious. He is the master programmer, and he has left the key within us to go and reprogram our reality. And he has given us that key free of charge. So on that note, thank you, God, for that blessing. Now, I'm going to give you 2 divine names which are going to help you do just that and open your spiritual side. But before I do that, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more awesome content. Now, the first name I want to reveal to you is the name Al-Basir, which basically means the all-seeing. And I'm going to repeat it again, just to make sure you have the pronunciation right. I mean, it's God after all, so a little bit of respect is not too much to ask. So it's Basir, and you're not going to repeat it in a way that you say Al-Basir. What you say is Ya Basir, which is the evocative form. You're basically calling on God to develop your spiritual side here. And you need to really get into this. You're not doing it just a few times a day. You really have to get those repetitions up. Now, the second name I'm going to give you is Al-Musawwir, which basically means the picture. It doesn't sound right in English, but Al-Musawwir could more accurately be translated to the fashioner or the giver of shapes. He is the shaper. He is the one who gives the shape of everything in existence. Now, it doesn't seem so obvious at first. Well, not as obvious as Al-Basir, the all-seeing, but I have discovered this name in Al-Buni's famous Shams al-Ma'arif, his 8th chapter, where he goes through the whole list of divine names and gives their occult properties. And what he says about Al-Musawwir is that whoever frequently invokes it, we're talking about dhikr here, so the continuous invocation, that person will be able to behold the spirits in their true form upon their descent. Now, you're probably wondering right now how many times you should recite these names. Now, as I like to tell my students, the more the better. I mean, this is all from God's mercy, so we shouldn't get tired of it, as he says in his holy book. But of course, some people like to have a number just to set a target for themselves. In the case of Al-Basir, it would be 313 times, and in the case of Al-Musawwir, it would be 347 times. And the correct way to do it is not Al-Basir Al-Musawwir, is Ya Basir Ya Musawwir, which is the evocative form. You're basically calling on God to unlock and develop that aspect, as I said before, in your hardware, in your subconscious mind. So repetition is key here. And I'll tell you something which is very important, guys. This is just like push-ups. Not all repetitions count. Like if you just go like this, that's not a push-up. So you have to make those repetitions count. How to do that is that you have to put your focus, you have to put your energy, your whole soul into each and every single repetition. You're not just mindlessly repeating a word, but if you put your actual intention into it, then your results will be that much better. It's really with everything in life, guys. So that is my top tip for you when it comes to dhikr. Dhikr, you want to do it with intention. You want to do it with presence of mind. We're saying Ya Basir Ya Musawwir Ya Basir Ya Musawwir is not like saying Ya Basir Ya Musawwir Ya Basir Ya Musawwir. I mean, the energy is just completely different. I just felt with those 2 repetitions that I did, my whole physiology being different. So this is what I advise you, and that's my top tip for you. Now, if you're interested in practices using the divine names and what they are for, I'm actually releasing a full list of those names. You just have to check out the link below and you'll be able to gain access to it. Now, I hope that you have found value within this video. I hope that it has benefited you and that you will put this stuff into practice, and I will see you on the next one.